Hi everybody, this is Alchemist 2 and I'm back again with another series review. I just recently watched Genius, Chapter 7, and in this episode, the war is coming into view and Einstein doesn't want to sign his name toward a gas that the creator of the gas actually says is more humane that this would be used. He actually uses it on rats and the rats just kind of asphyxiate basically and die. And he doesn't condone it. He says this is abominable, and he says what they're doing out there, our boys are dying, that's abominable. And he says I can't sign over this this horrific creation, and I can't condone it. And of course it was very interesting to see Maneva and Einstein just, they're still drifting apart, and she starts to have, I don't know if she's having fainting syncope or what her deal is, strokes. I don't know. I can't remember from Walter Isaacson's book what problem she had. I think it was syncope, but I'm not for certain on that. All I know is that she had an arrhythmia and she would faint and then she would forget. That sort of indicates possible stroke. So it's very difficult to say what kind of ailment that she had, but they were going through separation, and she was getting Deutschmarks from him in order to survive. He wasn't really making that much from his propositions, and he finally figured out Mercury's strange rotation around the sun. And one of the quotes that I really liked from this particular episode was when Albert said, "I'm not a politician, I'm a scientist. I'll make a name for myself by not signing my name." And of course, that plays an important role later on in the episode when he actually signs his name onto something. But he's looking forward more to being an advocate for change, because so many people have been making accusations against him, saying that he's a communist and that he is a deserter and a seditionist and somebody who is an anti-patriot. And he hates these labels, but his friends say, no, you're not. You're actually being a patriot. You're doing what is correct by standing up for principle. And I thought, there you go. Sometimes it's difficult to take the only opposing viewpoint, and when everybody else is saying, oh no, we have to fight and we have to battle in order to make everything right. But I'm the same way. War doesn't really solve much of anything. Yeah, it might help an economy. Well, look at World War II, but still, World War II, a lot of people died unnecessarily, mostly Jewish people, and they're finding more every single solitary day, which is really sad. The inventory of death is absolutely abysmal, but war is hell. Needless to say, this was a very exceptional episode, and we get to see more of his rendezvous with Elsa, and just how the two eventually became an item, and how he had to go to court later on in his life and convict himself of adultery. And I thought, oh, that's going to be such a blight against him. But later on, of course, people get wind of the fact that he has proven general relativity due to his equations. And of course, one of his critics say, oh, this proves nothing. What if all the calculations he has done are incorrect when the next eclipse will make its way will happen? And it says it's nothing more than conjecture and theory and just these beautiful algorithms that have been created that prove nothing. It's all philosophical. I thought, oh Holy crud. Snap. You talk about being really scathed by a critic. That is just... that is the most awful criticism I've ever heard. But of course Einstein takes it all in stride, and he stands up for what he believes in, and he's still a rebel, and he's still a nonconformist, which is why I can relate to him so much, because I'm a nonconformist too. I don't run with the herd. I am my own, and I am an individual. I dance to the beat of my own drummer. He was a very interesting character, and he was a very libidinous man, apparently. And it just goes to show you that even when he was older, especially earlier episodes, he was very passionate. It can't be said that scientists aren't passionate, because this shows that that's not even a question. They are very passionate people. They fight for what they believe in. They strive to make an innovation come to reality. And he finally discovered gravitational pull of the sun, and he thought, there's what I'm looking for. That's the magical number that I need for my algorithm. And then voila. Then he had that just... I was watching the equation. I thought, if only I could understand half of what was going on with that equation. It's so elegant and beautiful. And I never thought I would say that about math, but I just look at it and I think, holy moly, that is absolutely fantastic. Now, if only I could comprehend it, because I get algebra, kinda. Geometry's easy. Geometry's simple. Physics, I love physics, don't get me wrong, but I look at those equations, forget about it. Yeah, I don't get it. I'll just mention it right now. I like looking, I think, oh, pretty pictures. If they have a diagram, I think, oh, that's something I can grasp and kind of comprehend in a way. Beyond that, it's just something that I will always love, no matter what. And I know it's a very heady concept. Excuse me, long day. But anyways, that's all I have to say about this particular episode. And it looks like, well, the war ended in this episode as well, so I was very happy with that. A lot really happened in this particular chapter, and I'm very intrigued to see what will happen next. Of course, the whole train ride back into Germany with the war going on, that was so sad, because they were held back due to the war, and he couldn't see his wife and children. That must have been so challenging and difficult and just gut-wrenching for him. You could see the emotion on his... Einstein, he he was a man that you would think that an intellectual... It just shows you that intellectuals are very emotional creatures as well. That they have a temper, and you would never think, oh, somebody like that could never raise their voice or lose their cool. Well, Albert was a great example of the best of both worlds, and both the head and the heart, I think. But I'm biased because I love the man. He's my idol. If only I could just sit down and talk to him and listen to him. I have so many questions, but it's just like if I were to meet Stephen Hawking, I would say, Mr. Hawking, I have questions that I want you to answer, and one of them is about plasma engines. Please help me. I know that's more of an engineering question than a physics question, but Neil deGrasse Tyson sort of answered that question for me when I went to the symposium. So maybe I'm still thinking that a plasma engine is perfectly doable. I'm so sure it can be done. I've held on to this idea ever since I was 13. Well, actually, no. When did I first hear about plasma incinerators? I heard about plasma incinerators when I was in my 20s. And then I thought, you can make an engine out of that. So I'm not an engineer, but I know how engines work. I would draw you a blueprint. I could tell you how everything would work, but I wouldn't be able to actually do it, build it. I would have to have somebody to partner with me. But if this ever comes to pass, I hope that it will be used for good rather than evil, and it will reduce emissions. There will be no emissions from this, and you can just count on Big Oil shaking their sabers about it and saying, how dare you not use a fossil fuel that'll eventually run out. Well, I'm saving your butts, excuse me. You're just going to have to find another way to make your money. But it's just, that's an idea I've had for quite some time, but nobody's helping me with it. Oh man, my hand's itching. Maybe that means I'm gonna get some money. I think it is, because Friday I get paid. So beyond that, update. I called the shelters in my hometown because fairly soon in July I'm going to be having a huge auction. Everything must go. So 3/4 of what I own, which is more than half. I still have a little bit left over, which is quite a lot. But what I do have and want to sell, I didn't realize this until the auctioneer said that towels, linens, bed clothing, ins and outs, that sort of thing, kitschy stuff. Well, kitschy stuff actually does sell, but this sort of thing doesn't. So I've decided, call the shelters over your break and they'll take it. And wouldn't you know, they're to take it. They're going to come over probably next week sometime, give me a call, and then come and look at what I have, work with other shelters in the area, and everybody will be happy. They'll get bath towels and whatever else they need. And of course I have a lot of food that the men's shelter will be getting. I have quite a bit. It's enough to feed me for a year. My financial advisor actually pointed this out to me, and I had never noticed, because Dad, Mom, and myself, we always stockpiled. We always made sure we had plenty to eat because we were afraid that we wouldn't. And how silly, right? I mean, it's not like I'm a doomsday prepper, but it's nice to have extra food just in case should worst scenario X happen. And it probably won't, but 9 times out of 10, it's better to be prepared than not. Just something I learned from being a Girl Scout and just survival. Survivalist classes rule. But it was very, very relieving for me to hear that call, and I know that these people are going to help me out. And my cousin, God bless her, I'm going to go to the post office tomorrow. I have a blouse that I'm going to be Hotaru Shigure from Dagashi Kakashi. And I'm really looking forward to becoming Hotaru, because I feel like Hotaru and I are kindred spirits just because of how strange and eccentric and odd we are, and our love for sweets. So why not? I'm just exactly like Hotaru. And I love candy. I love candy. I love sweets. Chocolates being my one Achilles heel. Boston cream pie, don't get me started. Oh, lordy lord. But it's gonna be fun. I think I'll make a tremendous Hotaru, but that won't be until the 9th of July. Of course, this weekend is Markiplier. So I will be doing a review, and I'll talk to you about that once this has happened. I'm so excited. I did it on a whim because I read in the the description below one of his videos that he was having a TYVM, thank you very much, tour. And one of his stops was Indianapolis. So I thought, oh, hot dog. So bam, I clicked on that link and I got the tickets. They weren't cheap, but they were worth it. I thought I'll sit here as in the orchestra. So they should be good seats. I don't know who else is going to be there, but there are going to be a lot of people there. Usually I'm afraid of crowds, but I don't care. It's Markiplier. So I'm going to learn from the guru of YouTube and figure out why he's getting so many views. But it's going to be awesome. It's going to be the best day ever. But that's basically all I got to say about that. And I'm so keyed up about, I've never been keyed up about anything, but I'm so excited about seeing Mr. Fischbach. So until then, live long, prosper. Ciao, Tootsie.